Hello guys and welcome to a brand new video. Today we're going to be talking about top 10 Rick and Morty episodes to watch according to IMDB. Now as you know, IMDB scores can change, so keep that in mind. Now let's start with number 10, Meeseeks and Destroy. Meeseeks and Destroy is the 5th episode of the first season of Rick and Morty. In this episode, the Smith family asks Rick for solutions to several mundane problems. So to help him out, he gives them the Meeseeks box, a gadget capable of summoning blue humanoids named Mr. Meeseeks. This episode has been well received, so it's not a surprise it has a 9 rating on IMDb. Next one we have is Rick Potion 9. Rick Potion 9 is the 6th episode of Rick and Morty. In this episode, a love potion goes wrong, creating a virus that begins to infect the entire world population, making everyone fall in love with Morty. In this episode, Rick is trying to help out Morty with his long-term crush, Jessica. This episode received critical acclaim, receiving praise for its story, the subplot, and the ending, so it's not a surprise that this episode has a 9.1 rating. Next episode we have is The Ricks Must Be Crazy. The Ricks Must Be Crazy is the 6th episode in the 2nd season of Rick and Morty. In this episode, Rick and Morty go inside Rick's microverse car battery, an entire verse that generates electricity to power Rick's car. But what the citizens in the microverse don't realize is that Zeep, a scientist in the microverse, creates his own microverse, thus stopping the flow of energy to Rick's car. So because of that, Rick and Morty and Zeep are trapped in Zeep's microverse and they are trying to escape it. This episode has a great rating on IMDb of 9.3. Next episode we have is Pickle Rick. In this episode, Rick turns himself into a pickle, just as he and his family is scheduled to attend a therapy session. This episode follows Rick's adventure as a pickle and the rest of the family's trip to therapy. This episode had some really positive reviews, with critics praising the animation and the design of Pickle Rick, who quickly became an internet symbol and a meme. To many, Pickle Rick is one of the most legendary episodes of Rick and Morty, so it has a rating of 9.3 on IMDb. Next episode we have is The Wedding Squanchers. The Wedding Squanchers is the 10th and the final episode of the 2nd season of Rick and Morty. In this episode, Rick receives a wedding invitation from Bird Person, but what he doesn't know is that Jerry is also accidentally invited. So in order to retrieve Jerry, Rick is forced to attend his best friend's wedding on the distant planet Squanch, alongside with the rest of the family, despite his objections. Few minutes during the reception, the Bird Person's bride, Tammy, reveals herself to be the agent of the Galactic Federation, and then absolute hell breaks loose. This episode has a 9.4 rating on IMDb, and we are not surprised about it. To many critics, they were surprised how the episode had a lot of tragedy that was mixed so well with comedy. And now number 5. Close Rick Counters of the Rick Kind. This episode is the 10th episode of the first season of Rick and Morty. In this episode, the show's original Rick is wrongfully accused of murdering 27 Ricks from alternate dimensions in kidnapping their respective Mortys. The Council of Ricks arrest him and find him guilty, upon discovering incriminating evidence which was actually fabricated to frame him. This episode has a rating of 9.4, and it's absolutely absurd and comical. I mean, having one Rick and Morty is funny enough, but having hundreds of Ricks as well as an eye patch Morty really makes this episode special. Next one we have is the Vat of Acid episode. The Vat of Acid is the 8th episode of the 4th season in Rick and Morty. This episode, Rick and Morty meet the alien gangsters at a factory to exchange valuable crystals. The gangsters betray them and Rick fakes his and Morty's death by jumping into a vat of fake acid. However, the gangsters do not immediately leave, and instead discuss their feelings before testing the vat's acidity. After this event, Morty persuades Rick to create the save point button that could let them return to escape death or correct their mistakes. This episode has a 9.5 rating on IMDb and showcases Rick Sanchez at his darkest and most hilarious. Next episode we have is Total Rickall. Total Rickall is the 4th episode of the 2nd season of Rick and Morty. In this episode it shows the Smith family along with Mr. Poopy Butthole, who are overwhelmed by an infestation of parasites who implant false memories into them so they cannot tell who is real. This episode is inspired by the 1990 film Total Recall, a science fiction film that features false memory implantation. But also it has the reference of the 5th season of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. This episode of Buffy is very similar to Rick and Morty's, as the character is introduced and treated by other characters as if she was always present, while a supernatural reason for this is eventually given. This episode has a crazy rating on IMDB of 9.6, and with all of the plot twists and turns, it is definitely a good one. The next episode we have is the Rickshank Redemption. This episode is the 1st episode of the 3rd season of Rick and Morty. The episode follows the events surrounding Rick Sanchez's incarceration at the Galactic Federation's prison and high-stakes bid to escape, with revelation that both reveal his true motives and character. While the Earth is full of aliens and monsters, Galactic Federation scientists attempt to discover the secret to Rick's portal gun by sending an alien into his mind to interrogate him, using mental images from his past. This episode became one of the best rated episodes on IMDb with a rating of 9.6. And now for number 1, the Atlantis MixUp. This episode is the highest rated episode of Rick and Morty on IMDb. With a rating of 9.8 and 28,000 votes, it might remain as the highest rated episode of Rick and Morty. This episode is the 7th episode of the 3rd season. In the episode, Rick and Morty prepare for the adventure to Atlantis, but they are interrupted by another Rick and Morty who are looking for donations to the Citadel. Morty then wonders what is occurring in that citadel. The episode leads them to that place, and then they follow several intertwined plots. This episode was so good that it actually received an award. Gutterman and Ridley won the 2018 Annie Award for writing this amazing episode. Either way, that is all for this video. We hope you guys enjoyed, and we will see you all in the next one. Bye bye.